All right, so when we're looking at salaries, we have to keep a few things in mind. First off, up here, we have 52 weeks are in 1 year. Every other week it means biweekly per year. So if you get paid biweekly, it means you get paid every other week, which means that happens 26 times per year. Monthly, if you get paid monthly, that there's 12 months in a year. If you get paid semi-monthly, that means um, twice per month. That happens 24 times per year. And then annual is one time per year. So let's look up here at 18, 19, 20, and 21. If we know that our pay, if we know that our pay is $37,500, my question becomes, how much do I make per week? Well, so yearly is $37,500. And I know that there are always 52 weeks in a year. So I would divide my yearly amount by 52, and that would give me my pay per week, which would be $721.15. So 19 biweekly means every other week. That happens 26 times per year. So to find biweekly, there's a couple ways I could do it. I could use my weekly to find it or my annual to find it. But I'm going to take my annual, which is again still 37,500. I divide it by the number of biweekly times per year, which is 26. When I divide that by 26, what I get is $1,442.31. Another way I could have done that is just simply doubled my weekly, since this means every other week. 20 20 is semi-monthly. Semi-monthly, that happens 24 times per year. So again, what I could do is I could take my 37,500. I could divide it by the number of semi-monthly times per year, which is 24. And if I got paid twice per month, which is different than every other week, if I got paid twice per month, that would mean that I got $1,562.50. Okay. And then monthly, 21. There's a few ways I could do this. I could either double this amount, or what I could do is I could just divide the yearly amount by the number of months per year, and that would leave me with $3,125. So that's the way that we would find these amounts here. Now, if we look at 22 through 25, we would take the weekly pay and we would then find each of these amounts. So if we go 22 is, if I get paid $750 per week, how much do I get paid every other week? I multiply that by 2. So I get paid $1,500 every other week. If I look at, see, 23 and 24 and 25, I'm going to go ahead and go up to annual because I think it's easier to get the answers from annual. So I'm actually going to take my 750 here. So I'm going to do 25. I'm going to take my 750 per week, and I'm going to multiply it by the number of weeks there are in a year. There are always 52 weeks in a year. So I'm going to go $750 times those 52 weeks, and that's going to get me $39,000. So that would be 25 here. So if I know I make $39,000 in a year, my monthly, like I just did a minute ago, I take my yearly divided by the number of months, and that would tell me my monthly pay. So I will divide this by 12, and that's going to give me $3,250. And to find number 23, just semi-monthly, again, there's a few ways I could do that. I think it's easier to take the annual amount and go from there. There are 24 4 semi-monthly payments per year, as I can see right here, just like I wrote on my chart above. This would be a good note card item. And I take my 39,000 and I divide it by 24, and that's going to give me $1,625 for each pay period. All right, let's go ahead and I'm going to switch up colors here so that we can head into some of these other problems. Let's go ahead and undo that. So what I've got on number 30 is a piece rate formula problem. 30 is saying that I earn 2.5% commission on all of the sales that I have. Remember, piece rate, the formula is total sales times our commission rate. In this case, the total sales are $63,000. And I'm going to multiply that by my commission rate. The commission rate is 2.5%. Remember, 2.5% written as a decimal, 2.5%. If I turn it to a decimal, I have to go to the left 2 places. So that means that it would be 0.025. So if I go 63,000 times 0.025, that leaves me with $1,575. So that would be my answer there for number 30. All right, if I look at number, let's say 32, I'll skip 31 because 31 is just like 30. In number 32, that's a salary plus commission. So remember, to do this, I take the salary and then I add that to the commission formula, total sales times the commission rate. So for number 32, I see that the commission rate is 0.09, 9% written as a decimal. And the total sales are, oops, I'm sorry, that is not correct. I'm looking at the wrong one. So let's look at 32 here. The commission rate here is 6.5%, written as a decimal is 0.065. And the total sales here are $27,502.50. And then I need the salary still. The salary in this one is $1,500. So I need to multiply these together because order of operations tells me I do the parentheses first. When I multiply those together, I get $1,787.66. And I also earn the $1,500 from my salary. So if I add the amount I earned in my salary plus the amount I earned in my commission, I get my grand total of pay for number 32, which is $3,287.66. So that is the amount that I earn in number 32. Last but not least, let's look at number 34. I'll change the color again because we're getting a lot of numbers on the screen here. So, oops. So for number 34, what I've got is a graduated commission. And what I get here is on the first $5,000, it looks like I make 5%, or Richard makes 5% commission. So my rate is 5%, written as a decimal is 0.05, times the first $5,000 in sales. That's what it says right here. For the first 5,000 makes 5%. So I multiply that out, and he made $250 on the first $5,000 in sales. Then between 5,000 and 20,000, so the next $15,000 in sales, he earns 6.5%. Again, written as a decimal, 6.5% would be 0.065. I multiply that times the $15,000 because it says the next $15,000 you get 6.5%. So go 15,000 times 6.5%, and that gives me $975. And then last but not least, 7% on everything over $20,000. So that would be $8,538 beyond 20 grand. And that gives me 597.66. I add these three numbers together and I get $1,822.66 in commission for all of those sales.